One particular year, the question is asked, what do you call the phase when the ventricles contract? What do you call the phase when the ventricles contract? Ventricles contract. Is it all right? So what will you write? You do not write only systole. What you should be writing? Ventricles contract. You should be writing ventricular systole. If it is asked auricles diastole, what is the phase you call when the auricles relax? You will say auricular diastole. Only relaxation shows diastole, but auricles diastoling, auricular diastole. Take care of all these things. Now we come to the last part of this. That is lymphatic system. When I was teaching you circulatory system, when I started with circulatory system, I told you about blood, tissue fluid and lymph, you remember. So until and unless we understand this circulation of blood and all, I cannot explain tissue fluid and lymph. So let us see what is happening. These are the capillaries. Okay, let us take which capillaries I am talking about. These are the blood capillaries. How do you know it is blood capillary? How do you know I have shown a blood capillary? Because it is made up of a single layer of cell. Had it been an artery or a vein, I would have shown multiple layers. But since I have shown a single layer of endothelium, it is a capillary, is it? Okay, so here blood is flowing. Fine, okay, blood is flowing. We have done in diapedesis as well. If you remember, blood is flowing, and blood is flowing under pressure. Without pressure, blood cannot flow. And what is there here? Suppose, and here we consider these are the tissues. Tissues of an organ, any tissue. Is it clear? Yeah, a group of cell present in your body. I am just showing you like this tissue. Now what happens when the blood is flowing under pressure? Due to the pressure, the liquid part of the blood oozes out. Liquid part of the blood, some amount, because it is flowing under pressure, and there is intercellular gap between the cells. Now there are intercellular gaps between the cells, and through those gaps some amount of watery part of the blood comes out. Remember, plasma protein doesn't come out, but watery part of the blood comes out. This gap is so small that it doesn't allow any blood cell to come out. No RBC, no WBC, no platelets. But with WBC, they can come out on their own by the process of diapedesis, you remember. Is it clear? That is there. Means they can come on their own, come out on their own. It's not that they just pass out. It is not, because they are the largest blood cell. RBC, platelets, WBCs are the largest blood cell. Is it clear? RBCs and platelets cannot come out. So there is no question of WBC, but they can come out by changing their shape, and they can come out. We call the process as diapedesis. Is it clear? So what are we finding? That due to the pressure of the liquid, when blood is flowing, due to the pressure, some liquid part of the blood is coming out from the capillary. Is it all right? What it is different from plasma? It doesn't contain plasma protein. It comes out it comes out. Is it all right? Now this one which comes out without any blood cell, but you will find some WBCs here which have come out by diapedesis. Is it clear? Once this liquid comes out from the blood capillary, so where is the liquid present? The liquid is present between the tissues and the blood capillary. Between tissues and the blood capillary. Fine, okay. So here, once it is out of the blood capillary, we call this fluid as tissue fluid. Actually, I have told you in class 9 also. We call this fluid as tissue fluid. So tissue fluid keeps the tissue wet, it bathes the tissue, is it all right? Now if some amount of tissue fluid goes back into the capillary, but very little, because pressure is more from inside the capillary than from outside. So here what happens, accumulation of tissue fluid increases. Okay, so if this process continues, what will happen? Watery part of the blood will continuously come out. The blood will get thicker and thicker because it is losing water, and here accumulation of water will increase. It will lead to edema. What is edema? Swelling due to accumulation of fluid, is it we have done. Okay, so this fluid has to be removed, is it? It has to be removed. For that, there is a system we call as lymphatic system. Now you see the pun. What is the lymphatic? These are the tissues, okay? Tissues. Remember, there are some WBCs present here. These WBCs can be basophils, can be monocytes, can be neutrophils, but some WBCs are present here. You can identify by their nucleus. If they are multilobe, they are neutrophil. If they are kidney shaped, they are monocytes, is it? So here it goes like that. Now, just like blood capillaries, a system is there we call as lymphatic system. Here capillaries arise, but how are these capillaries? These capillaries are thicker than the blood capillaries, though the comparison is wrong here. I have shown a thicker blood capillary and thinner lymph capillaries, but lymph capillaries are thicker than blood capillaries, just showing you. Here what happens, what is the difference between these two capillaries? They are also made up of a layer of endothelium. What is the basic difference? These capillaries are formed by the division of arteries. Is it capillaries? Any blood capillaries are formed by the division of arteries. Is it clear? And these capillaries are formed abruptly. Is it clear? अचानक से शुरू हो जाता. All of a sudden, they just start around the tissue. Is it? So these are known as lymph capillaries. They are not formed by the division of any vessel, any lymph vessel or any vessel. They just start abruptly. All of a sudden around the tissues they start. They are formed. Is it all right? And these are known as lymph capillaries. There is one more term for lymph capillaries. What is the term for lymph capillary? Lacteal. Where have we done? We have done in class 9 in the structure of villus. If you remember, there is a lacteal which absorbs fatty acid and glycerol. Is it all right? So here, several lymph capillaries are coming from tissues. Many lymph capillaries are coming from several tissues like this. Is it all right? And now the lymph capillaries start to join. Is it clear? Here the joining starts, and with every joining, lymph capillaries are coming. With every joining, this gets thicker and thicker. Is it all right? Now what do we call this? These are no more capillaries. They are, we cannot call it only this one. These one are capillaries. As the joining starts, we call them lymph vessel. You can compare them with veins. Capillaries join to form vein. Here lymph capillaries are joining to form lymph vessel, and the joining continues. Is it clear? And more they join means they get thicker and thicker. Now this lymph vessels have a characteristic. What characteristic they have? At certain distance they have this node kind of structure, a swollen structure. Is it clear? These are encapsulated structure, and these are known as lymph nodes. Where are lymph nodes present? They are present on the lymph vessels, not on lymph capillaries. They are present on lymph vessels. Is it clear? What is the characteristic of lymph node? Is it clear? They can produce lymphocytes. This is a structure which can produce lymphocyte. What is the meaning of what is lymphocyte? Lymphocyte is WBC. I am just revising, we have already done. So what is lymphocyte? Lymphocyte is a WBC which can produce antibodies. We have done in WBC. Is it clear? We in class 9 we have done in immune system as well. Okay. So here what happens? So here this is lymph node, and at certain distances you will find lymph nodes. The number of lymph nodes varies from place to place. They are more at a fold fold means in your armpit, in your groin, you will find more number of lymph nodes, whatever, but on the lymph vessel you will find several lymph nodes. Is it clear? And finally, what happens here, many such structures come and finally they come and they join the vein which is bringing blood from your arms. I am repeating once more. See, this joining continues. Here is the joining, here it is joining, and lymph nodes are present, more lymph vessels are joining. Is it clear? And finally they get thicker and thicker. Is it all right? And where do these like veins we have seen, where is the final vein entering? Into the heart. Is it clear? Here, where do they enter? They go and join the vein. Where, what is the, they go and join the vein which brings blood from arms, from the arms. Is it all right? So let me tell you one thing, let me show you what is happening in this, and then I'll I'll explain about the thing, what happens if the thing is going and joining the vein. See, here we come back again, you know the structure. Okay, what is happening? Here is present the tissue fluid. One thing you will remember, the tissue fluid is actually containing lot of germs. Why? Because it is surrounding the tissues. Tissues are the living cells. Living cells usually are manifested with lot of pathogens. Is it clear? Or some pathogen must have come out from the blood also. So here the tissue fluid has lot of pathogens. Is it all right? Lot of pathogens, and tissue fluid is, now this tissue fluid enters into these capillaries. The tissue fluid which is accumulated here, if the liquid part, if it is in the blood capillary, it is plasma. Once it comes out and bathes the tissues, it becomes tissue fluid. Now the accumulation of tissue fluid is taking place. So what happens? The tissue fluid enters into these capillaries which are formed, which are present. Is it clear? And once, what do we call these capillaries as? We call these capillaries as lymph capillaries. And now the tissue fluid enters into this. Is it clear? Capillaries. And once it enters into the lymph capillaries, it is no more tissue fluid, it becomes lymph. It becomes lymph. Now this fluid is known as lymph. See, they are all related. They are formed from the blood, blood to tissue fluid to lymph. Is it clear? Okay, and the lymph is moving. Okay, there are lymph is moving. Don't forget that there are lot of pathogens in them. Is it all right? These pathogens. Lot of monocytes have come out, lot of WBCs have come out. So since pathogens are there, the WBC also follow the pathogen to engulf them. All right. So here what is happening? It is moving. Here tissue fluid is moving, and during the, here are the germs. During its journey, the pathogens are being engulfed by WBC. The WBC which has come out from the blood vessel into the tissue fluid into the lymph vessel, and the WBCs are engulfing. Now it reaches to the lymph node. Is it? So what happens in the lymph node? Lymph node, what is the function of lymph node? What did I say? What is present? What is the function of lymph node? Lymph node produces lymphocytes. Is it clear? Lymph node produces lymphocytes. If you remember, when I was teaching you lymphocyte, I had given you that apart from bone marrow, lymphocytes are produced by several other structures. So lymph nodes also produce lymphocytes. Is it clear? So here are present, in the nodes are present lymphocytes. Okay, and this lymph is moving. They still have the pathogens, because all the pathogens cannot be engulfed by the WBCs which are following. Now, what is the function of lymphocyte? They produce, these are the pathogens. Pathogens have antigen. They immediately start producing antibody. So if you